Chairman, Secretary, Treasurer, and now the Executive Council of the OU region.
Yeah, sorry.
And people that come with you and to get staff of Power, manager and staff of Power, and the manager and staff of the Office of the Senior Special Assistant of Power. I'm very delighted to receive you in this building and this office today. Like I said in the start, this is not a press conference. I think, like the chairman said, the role of the fourth estate, as we normally call it, is very, very critical in educating the public. And so it's in that spirit that I received you today, and also invited the management of the Power and the senior people in this office to come and have this interaction. Because as you rightly know, power is very, very critical to Ibom State and to Nigeria as a whole. There's so many things going on. And so talking to you guys is very, very important to us. Because if you don't understand what is going on, the public will not understand. So it's in the interest of that that we are very happy to receive you. This meeting is not about us trying to sing our praises. It's not us trying to tell you what to write, but just to give you, answer any question you might have on what is going on in the industry as a whole. So I'm very, very, very serious about what I'm saying. That it's not a press conference, it's not a media event, it's just an educational interaction so that you can ask questions. His Excellency will not have time to tell you all that he's doing. It's my role as his assistant to explain to you what His Excellency is doing in this industry. And I have to tell you, quite a people should be very proud of what His Excellency is doing in the power sector. But unfortunately, we don't have the energy, we don't have the resources to make that information known. And you are the only one that can actually explain what he's doing. Because it's really, really doing a whole lot. If every state in Nigeria was doing what His Excellency is doing in Akwa, the distance, the journey to having steady power supply across the entire country will be that much, much shorter. I also feel privileged that you are here today because our people need to understand that the industry has changed completely. We don't have NEPA anymore. We don't have power holding company, PHCN anymore. What we have now are private sector companies in the generation and distribution in particular. And even the transmission company, even though it's still fully owned by the federal government, is now being run by a private sector company that is running from actually outside of the country. So the power sector has changed completely. The role of government today in the power sector is really to enable, to sustain. Like if you watch the news day before yesterday, the central bank is just coming in to provide some funds to stabilize the industry. So it's not, as we used to know, it's not government responsibility anymore to run the power sector. Government is primarily regulating it, making sure the private sector do what they're supposed to do. In Akwa, His Excellency is actually doing more than that. He's intervening where this private sector are not doing what they should be doing because of his love for his people, because of his desire to see steady power supply across the entire state. He's intervening. And that's why my office was created. And that's why I believe recently His Excellency gave me additional responsibility to supervise the power for him on an acting basis. So I'm not afraid to tell you that His Excellency sent me there for a purpose. And he's at liberty to give me any assignment. And I'm not his advisor, I'm his assistant. Big difference. Because an advisor is supposed to give advice. An assistant is there to do what the boss says. So whatever His Excellency wants to do in the power sector is what I do. Whatever he tells me to go, that's where I go. And I can tell you without any fear of controversy that His Excellency has done very, very much in the power sector. And that job, that work is built on 4 critical strategies. The most important one is gas. Is making sure the fuel for making sure electricity is produced, is provided. What His Excellency did and has done and is doing in that area is to bring the private sector. We have a company today that is called Seven Energy or Scepter Energy that is partnering with another company that is called Frontier Energy that he brought, he encouraged, he provided the resources for them to come in and process the gas that we have in one of our local governments, to be very precise, Akwa. So that gas is processed and captured. That was never done by any other administration. It was not done by the federal government. It was this your uncommon transformer that did that. He made sure the resources was there. The private sector people were giving the encouragement. They came in and processed gas. The reason he did that is that when we started Ibom Power, the power was running on what we call best endeavor. We didn't have constant supply of gas. And for a very long time, today we will run, tomorrow we will not run because there was no gas. So His Excellency saw the need to make sure the gas we have on ground is processed and given to Ibom Power. As you will recall, I think it was 2 months ago, the president of this country came to commission that facility in this area. And we are very proud that today, as we speak, we are getting enough gas from that facility to run Ibom Power. And as we are speaking right now, the power is running and providing more than 2% of the total energy requirement, total power installed in the whole of Nigeria. We are very proud of that, and it's running constantly because of that availability of gas. The second aspect of the strategy in power is to make sure the generation occurs. And that was why when he came in and knew that his predecessor had started Ibom Power, he completed it. Not so many governors would do that. When you came in and saw that work uncompleted, you put in the resources, put in the right people to make sure the work is completed. And that power plant was commissioned. We have 191 installed capacity. So if everything is running, the transmission is there, the gas is there, and the generations are running very well, we should be able to produce 191 megawatt, which would have been like close to 5% of what is the installed capacity in Nigeria. And that's not a big feat for a single state to do. So we are very proud of what His Excellency is doing. And like I said today, I have the company secretary and the deputy managing director of Ibom Power here with me, so that you can ask any question, you can understand. So that when you write, when people ask you questions, when you interview people, you can ask the right question. That's our main purpose of being here, so that you guys can understand the industry. So in the generation aspect and in the gas aspect, His Excellency has done very well. The third piece is transmission. Because when this power is produced, when you get the gas, you convert it to electricity, you have to transport that electricity to where people live. And that's where transmission comes in. Transmission grid, as we define it today in Nigeria, is anything above 132 kilovolts. So anytime you produce above or you put your generation, whatever is more than 132 kilovolts, we call that the national grid. Because voltage or power system at that level, at that voltage level, are interconnected. So we partner with the federal government. First of all, to build the transmission line from Akwa to Ibom. That did not exist. So it was this government that envisioned and did that. Just like His Excellency is intervening in road projects, he also had to do that. Because there was no point building the power plant without having a transmission line. So that transmission line is able to evacuate all of the 191 from Akwa to Ibom. That was what His Excellency did. And also, we are supporting the federal government, whether it is the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, who is the owners of the Nigerian Integrated Power Projects, NIDP, who is building big substation in Ikorodu and another big substation in Ikorodu, and tying about 330 kilovolts. We are very proud of that. We are supporting it. The way we support them is they have right-of-way issues, they have problems, we eliminate those problems for them. We help them eliminate those problems. Partner with them to reconductor the line that is going from Akwa to you. That line used to be only 70 megawatts. So we work with them and make sure that line has been reconducted. Capacity is now 160 megawatts. So those are the kind of things His Excellency is doing. We are supporting Niger Delta development company, who is planning to build the 132 kV line from Akwa to Akwa all the way to Ikorodu. I think they also plan to bring another loop all the way back to Akwa. So His Excellency is supporting all of this. We are working with him to make sure those things happen. The fourth part is on the distribution. Distribution is really the closest thing to the consumers. In the distribution is where people actually connect. You see the line in front of your houses, you see the transformers. Now, what His Excellency did in that was, even before I came back to Nigeria, he has invested significant amount of money so that chances are that any village, any community you go in Akwa, you are going to see a transformer. You are going to see a low tension and a high tension infrastructure. To the extent that we believe over 95% of our communities in these states are covered, have power infrastructure. That has not happened anywhere else, not even in Africa. So that's something we should be proud of. What drove His Excellency to do that was his notion of when people go to space or satellite, they always see Africa as a dark country. So one day he decided he's going to change that for Akwa, and he has done that. So there's no village in Akwa. I would say 90% of the villages in Akwa, 90% of the communities have this infrastructure. That's not what we're supposed to do again after the privatization. But this office is still providing transformers, still helping people who do not have transformers. So that's the fourth aspect. We also, under the fourth strategy, when the federal government said they were going to privatize, they were going to sell the distribution asset. First of all, before they did the selling, they broke NEPA into 18 companies. That's something you need to understand. They broke NEPA or PHCN into 18 companies. 6 of those were generation companies. 11 of them were distribution companies. Out of those 11, what I call electric distribution company is what serves Akwa, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Cross River. And that's who provides you electricity today from the distribution perspective. We in Ibom Power, we produce the electrons. We put it on the transmission line. There is a distribution company. It's now called Akwa Electric Distribution Company that is responsible for making sure you receive the electricity. So when the federal government decided to sell those 11 distribution companies, His Excellency partnered with the 4 governors in what we call the BRAC states, the BRAC, Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa, and Cross River, and make sure we bought that thing over. We brought in private sector companies. We make sure the life companies came together, put our resources together, and take that over from the federal government. That is something that all the other governors were jealous because they couldn't do it. But when His Excellency and his colleagues in those 4 states did that, it was a big thing. So those are the 2 main things we should be proud of. The fact that we participated in that acquisition and the fact that over 90% of our communities have electricity. The fifth part of what His Excellency is doing in this state is to make sure we have the right kind of competency, bringing all the resources, the people, because you can have all this infrastructure, you can build it, but if you don't maintain and manage it properly, you're not going to get a steady power supply. So he has laid the foundation in those 5 strategies: gas, generation, transmission, distribution, and the core competency. This is why we have this office, have all these great men that are working together to make sure we have this steady power supply. Now you might ask, we've been hearing about this for a very long time, and that's true. How come we still don't have steady power supply? The problem is not gas, because His Excellency has provided gas. In Akwa, in Nigeria, the problem is gas. In Akwa, it's not gas. In Akwa, the problem is not generation, because we have Ibom Power. In Akwa, problem might be a little bit how the transmission system is managed, and we are working with the transmission company of Nigeria, which is the owner of the transmission system. One of the things that you should know, and you need to write about, is the fact that in Akwa we have 3 substations. One in Naked, another one in Itu, another one in Calabar. But we don't have the presence of TCN in Akwa to operate and manage that system properly. So that whenever we have problems, and you know very well that human machines do fail. When we have any problem on the transmission, people have to come all the way from Calabar. And as you all know, the road is not good. So that's why when we have small outages that should last maybe for 2 hours, it will take sometimes 3-4 days for them to fix it. That's why we don't have electricity always. It's not that the governor has not done his part. The governor has done what he's supposed to do. Another reason you do not have steady power supply is the distribution. Since the distribution asset was sold to the private sector, most of them have not invested the right kind of money to fix that infrastructure. Do you know why they're not? Because people are not paying. People, if you ask people why are they not paying, you know what they're telling you? Because they don't see the electricity. So it becomes a big issue. The distribution companies need people to pay so that they can have money to fix the infrastructure. People say they will pay when they see electricity. That's the problem we have up to today. And that's why the central bank, the Nigerian Electric Regulatory Commission, Ministry of Power, and Ministry of petroleum resources got together. The central bank released about 213 billion so that the debts that are being owed the distribution company will be paid to them, so that they will use that money and fix those distribution assets. So I believe, and we believe, once those distribution assets are fixed, once the right go and meaning operations and management, maintenance, operations and maintenance, once those two are done properly, we should be able to see steady power supply. In Akwa, we have the building blocks. His Excellency have put the infrastructure in place. But today, it's not the role of the state government, nor the federal government, it's in private sector hands. And the only way private sector will succeed is when people pay their bills. So it's very, 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 very important that you, the fourth estate, let people understand the importance of paying their bills. Just as we see cell phone working very well, we believe if people pay their bills, the electric will also work. Now, question people ask, which is a fair question. How do you expect me to pay bill when you don't have meters? Those are fair questions. And we believe that this money that the central bank is giving to the distribution company, and I wish the manager of the distribution company review was in my office area, and I wish he was there to join this. They are working on that. So we believe once they get the money, they will put the meters, they will fix the asset, so that we can begin to enjoy the benefit. Because Ibom Power will be producing 110 megawatts every day. Most of that goes to the national grid, because the distribution infrastructure is not good enough for us to consume that power. So His Excellency have done very well, I believe. So it's our responsibility, and you guys are already partnering with the government, to tell the story and to encourage people to make sure they pay their bills, to make sure they do not vandalize. Because I'm working with Engineer Rock to try to see if we can have better laws so that people don't vandalize the asset. Can you imagine? We will give transformers to villagers, and then five or 6 months they come back and say the cable has been removed. The transformer is not working because of vandalization. So it is your role to help us educate people, to make sure this asset, this infrastructure that the state government gave them are protected, are preserved, and people pay their bills. If people pay their bills, protect their infrastructure, Ibom Power continue to generate as they are doing today. TCN works very well to make sure whenever there is an outage, because there will always be an outage. There's no country in the world that their system runs perfect, 100% of the time. Doesn't happen. There will be some failures, but we have to have the right response time. We have to have the resources to make sure when that happens, it is fixed. We believe that as soon as that is done, quite a people will begin to enjoy steady power supply. So once again, I want to thank you for coming. We're happy to answer any question. And again, I want to emphasize, this is not a press conference. This is just an interaction to help you understand the industry. I believe that falls under my responsibility to provide you the right information so that when you report, when you ask questions, you ask it properly. Once again, I'd like to appreciate you coming and taking the time to understand what is going on in the industry. We'd be glad to answer any question and interact with you. As you see, my team is here to answer any question and interact with you as you see fit. Once again, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for finding it appropriate to come to see us. Welcome. Thank you. Those transformers are ministerial direct level committee, and they owned by the government, quite all right. And they were meant for rural development projects. And as a matter of fact, when we say 90% of our communities have transformers, that's where they're coming from. And as we speak, my office is still distributing some of those transformers. We don't just give it to people like that. And so when there is a request, have 5 tons of requests, more than 200 requests here. I only have 3 engineers in this office. They will go to where those requests are made, take a look at what the issues are, take a look at what needs to be done. And the governor, the SSG are giving us transformers, some of them, not all of them, to give to these communities. So we are intervening. Before you know, that transformer will be finished. But it's not going to be finished in one day because we don't give it out entrance. So slowly, we are distributing those transformers where they are needed. And now, let me tell you this. It is not our goal as a government since the privatization. The real company that should be, it's like asking government to buy phone or airtime or network satellite. It's a private company. So what we are doing is purely humanitarian out of the goodwill of His Excellency on interventionist basis as a good government that is doing that. The responsibility of putting transformers in customer zones and collecting money is the responsibility of BHEDC. But as an interventionist organization or office, we do release some of those transformers. And I'm sure also rural development is doing the same thing. Interministerial director is doing the same thing. If you go back, if you actually monitor the inventory, it's going down. Definitely. So they're being used. They're being used. As I have been informed, there are always two sides to the story. That's why I was explaining to you that there are three business units. One in the Caribbean, one in the Cape, and one in Uyo. The BM for Uyo probably will be coming back because I've asked him, someone who can stay in the office, and then the young man who is causing this problem, also asked him if he's sending his lawyer, and then PSC also have their lawyer. That's the kind of thing my office does. People don't know about it. There was a time people just take it back a little bit between economy and Ibom people will not allow power, small power to connect with the economy. Just to pass through their area. So for 5 years or 3 years, Ibom people did not have power because Ibom people will not allow the connection to happen. So we went to see the paramount where we intervened. That was resolved. So this one also, we're going to resolve it. We're going to talk to the young man because according to one side of the story, he has not been paid. That's what I'm hearing. I'm here to find out whether the fact. On the other side of the story is that he probably is not the real owner of the land. So I need to find out and establish the fact. In any case, I'm going to appeal to him that he shouldn't hold the entire state to ransom. Whatever the situation is. And for the respect of people for traditional rulers and all that, I personally have my own questions about, tradition and induction and all of that. So you have to respect tradition, respect the tradition. So you are right on. We are already in the process of interviewing. I'm glad we are current, and hopefully the story is reported fairly and balanced. But if the young man is old, or if we know the true owner of the land and is old, the responsibility of PHDC to pay. Because you cannot, where I practice in America is all taking. You cannot take someone's property and start using it without paying fair compensation. But on the other hand, their argument is that they don't think he's the right owner. So I'm going to find that out. I'm going to dig into what it is.
Is it this year? Is it this year? This land on this since before I was born.
Well, that's another issue there. Yes, because they're telling me the agreement was from 1,000, and they're not even paying 1,000. So the question is, do we know who the right person is? Do we know what the fact is? I'm going to try and get to the bottom of it and make sure it's up. Because it's very, very wrong for one person to hold 60% of this city. The uncommon transform city. For 5 days without
since on Saturday.
So my office in Yaro have been working on it. That's all. So thank you for raising that question.
Is there any other one?
No.